Hello and welcome, football fans, to the Skordle Pay Dirt Pick'em Show. I am your host, Andy Campbell, and I'm looking forward to talking zero-week football with this panel of experts. Tom Nelson and Mark Rogers are here. They are the voices of Skordle. You'll be hearing them call the Skordle games of the week starting this week and throughout the football season. Tom will be calling the first Skordle game of the week on Friday at 7 p.m. in Pond Creek as the Panthers take on the Coil Blue Jackets. Tom will be calling that game with one of our special guests tonight, Doug Nelson. Doug is a PCH alum and is now the voice of the Lincoln Christian Bulldogs and a return guest on the show. Doug, welcome back. Give us a preview of
Hey,
your 2025
yeah,
Bulldogs up there at Lincoln Christian.
yeah. Thanks for having me back again. The preview is rinse and repeat. Carter Rickey will lead us. That's the head coach's son. Carter is incredible. 43 touchdowns last year with only 9 interceptions, close to 3,000 yards passing. You've also got two outstanding backs, and you've got Baker, and then also we've got the Wright kid that are just incredible athletes, and they'll do wonderful things to help Carter out. Defensively, our line is led by Lincoln Torres, Ryan Ragland, and Colton Munsey, and those guys all have tons of playoff experience, and so we're really stout on both sides of the ball. Excited to have another great year, but also a great early test with games against Heritage Hall, Shiloh Christian, open up Victory Christian this week.
Looking forward to following the Bulldogs this season. We also have Jacob Diesehorst on the show as we do every week, along with Chris Evans. Chris is another return guest on the show. He is the host of the High School Huddle. And Chris, thanks for joining us again. Tell us about your show and when we can watch it.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. We are on High School Huddle, youtube.com/ at High School Huddle. We started a whole new channel, so we went from a lot of subscribers to 0 subscribers. So we can use some Squirtle love for sure. But thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
All right, we're going to discuss our 8 Squirtle Network games, which you can watch for free on Squirtle.tv or the Squirtle app. 2 games of the week that we have, and then 4 of the best out-of-network games in the state this week. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Class 2A matchup as the Jones Longhorns travel to Luther to take on the Lions. This game will be played on Friday evening. Can be watched for free, Squirrel.tv, LutherLions.tv, and the Squirrel app. Jones ran away with this game 51-6 a year ago. Mark Rogers, who starts the season off 1-0?
I think it's going to be Jones. Jones has won 24 of the last 26 games. These teams have played a bunch, and they're 0 miles apart. You leave Luther and you go into Jones, vice versa. Last time that Luther won was 2005. Jones scrimmaged at Perkins the other night, which I think is a really good team in Class 3A, and they kind of held their own. Asen Hansen had a touchdown pass, but he's been the quarterback there for 3 years. They've got a really good program. They're good in all sports. So I think that's going to be a Jones win. We'll see what Luther does this year. They got a first-year head coach there at Luther that I think is going to do a good job with that program. But I think that it's a tough task to go up against Jones in the season opener.
Tom.
Yeah, Luther snuck into the playoffs a year ago. They finished 5-6, losing that first round playoff game after starting the season with that big loss to Jones. They've got some experience returning, but it's a tough opener for the Lions. Jones is in the gold ball mix, of course, in 2A1. And Mark mentioned Asen Hansen. They got an aggressive defense that gave up 14 points a game last year against a tough schedule. Jones is going to go on the road and get off to a quick start and get to 1-0 quick.
Chris.
Well, I went out of state and I barely got on the airplane because my driver's license was expired. And the only tag agency in the state of Oklahoma that was open was in Jones, Oklahoma. So big shout out to Jones Tag Agency, Asen Hansen, and the tag agency for the win over Luther. I'm interested to watch Jones. I got him preseason number 3, tough district, Millwood, OCS, Mount St. Mary's, Perry, Blackwell. I threw Blackwell in there for you, Mark. So Jones, Longhorns.
Doug.
Yeah, we at Lincoln, we played Jones home and home for several years. Incredible host, great facilities at Jones, and we've had some battles with them. I like the young man, Luke DeBusk. I say he's a young man. He's a senior, 235 tackles over his career. He's a big-time baseball player. I think they've won 9 in a row in this series, make it 10 in a row as they TTHL, which is turn those horns loose.
Well, and you
Jake?
can't have the 50-50 burger at Luther. That was last year where you had to get that at Jones, which is the half blue and gold sausage and half beef. And hey, don't let it shrinks up a little bit, but it's still very, very tasty. They need to work on their bun to 50-50 ratio there, but it's really good.
I will tell you this also, guys. My color guy learned it the hard way. The welcoming committee, as you come into Jones, is a little tight on the actual speed limit, so just slow it down before you get into Sonic. And in fact, that's the one place you do want to eat when you get there. Everything closes down before the game's over, so you better eat before the game's over.
Some good tips if you're going to Jones at Luther this week. Jacob Easterhorse, let's go to you.
Yeah, I just want to make this announcement before the season starts. Every time I talk on the show, I'm auditioning for the Pat McAfee show. So if you're listening, Pat, I just want to make that known from the get-go. So no offense, Skordle, and all you guys. This is my audition. So just take it as you may. I love it that these two teams play every year. It's like the backyard battle. Jones has got a bunch of studs. That's why they're ranked number 1 in Class 2A1. You mentioned the quarterback Hanson. You got the Dorian Wiley, the edge rusher. I think he's a menace, disruptive force. Luke DeBusk, the linebacker, coming back. Luther's got their share of talent. Cade Bailey on the outside, a couple other impact players. They do have a freshman quarterback, I believe. And even though they're at home, Jones is the team to beat in 2A1, and I think going to be probably the best team in Class 2A1 if the season bears out, as it looks like it will. I've got Jones a 21-point favorite on the road, and I have them winning this game. Let's see, 42-14.
All right, entire panel taking the Jones Longhorns. Let's go to pick'em game number 2. Class A versus a 2A matchup as the Hennessy Eagles travel to Cashion as the Wildcats open up a new field this week. Cashion won this matchup in Hennessy 29-26 in a really good game a season ago. Mark, what should we be watching for in this matchup?
Well, we should be watching for Cashion to kind of make an appearance again when it comes to Class A state championship hopes. They had the great run where they were winning, and then kind of had just a little bit of a natural regression when it comes to some smaller schools. But they're on the upswing. I think Cashion is going to be really, really good this year. And so I think they probably be a little bit more favored to win this game. And you can definitely get some good stuff to eat at a Cashion game. So I think that the Wildcats take down the Eagles in this one.
Tom Nelson.
No, Hennessy's young, but the coaches in their district are pretty high on him, picking him second behind Stroud in the coaches poll. Titan Root, stud sophomore, offensive and defensive tackle. As a freshman, was an impact player for Hennessy. Cashion's a year or so further along in their build as they've built that program back with Coach Shack. And like we talked about, it was a shootout last year. Cashion won by 3. I think Cashion's going to inaugurate that new turf and that new stadium with a victory over the Eagles.
Doug Nelson.
Yeah, so this is the rubber match. I believe they played 2 times before, and of course the quarterback Smith over 3,000 yards passing. That stadium, the old stadium, had a lot of tradition. You talked about Cochran earlier in our conversations. I just remember even playing there when I was in high school, and it's just a great small town atmosphere. I'm afraid that Hennessy is just going to be a guest at the party as they break in the new stadium and field, and I'm going to lean towards Cashion on this one.
And I've got to say really quick that that old Cashion Stadium, I'm going to miss it. That was one of my favorite places to call a ball game at. I love the sight lines and the intimacy, and I'm going to miss that place. I wish I could have put the turf down on that field and left the stadium the same, but I'm sure I'll get used to a new place.
Chris, let's go to you. Hennessy at Cashion.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Mark Cox at Hennessy. I think they were 1-9 in 23, and then came back to make a playoff season a year ago. So congratulations to them as he continues to build that program. Coach Shackelford's been doing it for a long time. I think he's getting close to 200 victories as well. If he hasn't done it, I think he'll do it early this year. But, Cashion has, as Mark said, doing the rebuilding process. Of course, you have Fairview and Hooker in your district as well. So I think it might reverse a little bit this year. So it definitely will go. I will go with Cashion in week 0 to start off the year 1-0.
Jacob.
This is going to be a really good matchup. Cashin, I'm really interested to see what Shaq's going to do with Ethan Waswo kid, and then also Riker Johnson. I know he's probably going to play two quarterbacks and kind of mix it up between those two kids, depending on down and distance and what's going on in the game. Hennessy returns, a stud running back in the Lopez kid. I know Coach Cox is high on him. I think this game is going to be a shootout, high scoring game, similar to like it was last year. Cashin, obviously, home field advantage. I got them a touchdown favorite. And I think Cashin and its coaching staff pulls off a close win, 34-28.
Not just any Lopez, Mario Lopez, host of Entertainment Tonight.
Right. No relation to Saved by the Bell. Mario Lopez is Mario Lopez Jr. No, I'm just joking. But no, yeah. And then also the Farrell kid, the quarterback for Hennessy. I think, they're really high on him too. This is going to be a high scoring, exciting football game, but I think Cashin's home field might be the difference.
Watch that matchup for free, Skordle.tv, CashinWildcats.tv, also HennessyEagles.tv, since they're both Skordle schools.
Indulge in Brahms Molten Lava Cake Sundae. Hot fudge layered on chocolate bun cakes. Brahms Premium Vanilla Ice Cream. Craving a dessert that's simply irresistible? Try Brahms Molten Lava Cake Sundae.
Let's go to Pick'em game number 3. The Alva Goldbugs will visit Eubanks Field in Fairview this Friday. The Yellow Jackets begin the 2025 campaign with some new beginnings as star quarterback Jax Bernard has moved on to actually play in Alva, but at Northwestern. Tom, tell us about this matchup, Alva at Fairview.
Since the turn of the century, it's been a very streaky series. Alva won 13 straight starting in 2002. Then Fairview took over and won the last 4 years by an average of 22 points. Fairview lost some key pieces from that state title run teams a couple of years ago, but Coach Bernard, he's not building a program anymore. He's reloading. Alva has a lot of returning starters from last year's team. They went 8-3, and I picked them as my team to watch in 2A2 last week. We got a lot of tough picks to make this week, and this may be my toughest, and I'm not going to be real popular with some people on the panel, but I'm going to lean slightly toward the Gold Bugs. I think Alva's going to get it done, but it's going to be really close. Great ball game.
Mark?
I think people are sleeping on Fairview a little bit just because of Jax Bernard's graduation. Like Tom said, they've got a lot of good players. They've done a great job of coaching those guys, and there's expectations out there from winning. And I think sometimes when you lose a great player, or maybe even a couple of great players, the guys that have been there and have practiced with them, they kind of take on a little bit of an attitude of like, hey, people are kind of doubting us here. We're better than just one guy. And Jax was just such a good player. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but I still think that there's a lot left at Fairview. Alva won 13 in a row in the series until 2020. Fairview's won the last 4. It was a good game last year. I'm going to go with Fairview. I think it'll be close. I agree with Tom. It should be a really good game, but I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets.
Doug Nelson, former Fairview coach.
Yeah, man, I think back to 1991 and Coach Welsh, Coach there, and I took one on the chin, losing 13-0 against the Gold Bugs at home. And so this would be a little revenge for me if Fairview could pull this off. In fact, I'm going to lean towards Fairview in honor of Coach Welsh and the Diesel Horse family. And just that's a special town. My goodness, they love their football. They love all their sports. And the facilities are really top-notch. Got some great memories from that place. I remember in 91 out there on a tractor trying to get snow off the field in a playoff situation. It was Coach Welsh and I are taking turns in this open cab tractor trying to get that snow off so we could get a win against Crooked Oak. And we did. But that good days back in the day, and I always will be grateful to Fairview.
Chris Evans.
Well, the Gold Bugs, it's a symbol of excellence. I don't know how you can go against the mascot to begin with. And I'm really confused. It's the Fairview Yellow Jackets, but they're orange. So I got to give a slight advantage just because I don't know the color scheme for Fairview. And Tom, I'm so glad you picked Alva. So I'm glad I'm on early because I might get kicked off of the show forever. I'm going to go with the Gold Bugs as well. I think they'll be in a huge fight for a district championship with Stroud, but I will take the Gold Bugs. They're the larger class and the larger school, so they should get the victory. But I think it's a good one. I think this will be a good one with Alva.
Chris, you're going to stay at zero followers on YouTube with that.
Yeah,
With that.
I knew that was coming. Tom started it. Took all the pressure off of me.
Jacob,
I'm glad I could do that for you. Glad I could lay the
Thank you.
groundwork.
Jacob Alva at Fairview.
Yeah, I'm glad these two teams are starting to play perennial regional showdown like this and early in the season. I think it's good for both schools. I think Alva's on the come up. I do think they're going to be a competitive team this season. Fairview, I don't have to talk about them. Coach Bernard's in his 11th season. Seems remarkable. It seems like we were just hiring a new coach. It's been a decade now, and then some, and a lot of state titles to show for it. And he's got, like Mark said, some kids I think people are sleeping on a little bit. Aiden Nightingale is going to be the quarterback. He's a junior. He's learned from one of the best, played behind one of the best. Alex Hauk, wait till you watch this kid play. Wait till you see him on both sides of the football, running the football and playing linebacker. He's going to be a stud. Hayden Miller outside. Fairview's going to have a pair of stud linebackers. Colt Heyman's the other linebacker. But Alva has his fair share. Sean Hamlet, stud running back, and then Trip Cole playing in QB, moving into play quarterback, and he's going to be like a run first quarterback, I think. I think it's going to be a really fun game. I got Fairview an 8.5-point favorite at home, and I think they're going to hang on for a close win at home, 35-28.
Did Alva get their bus fixed? I remember last year in the season opener they had a spelling issue.
Mark, I saw the bus during basketball season, and it looked good.
If you're in Alva, you got to have a good bus, man, because there's nothing close. So you got to be rolling around in a properly spelled bus.
It's important for sure. As
Hey,
always,
Tom?
Go ahead, Doug.
Tom, I know you call the 8-man all-star, all-state games. Shout out to the 1986 8-man all-state game at Alva. That was a fun weekend.
That is one of my favorite ball games to broadcast every year, the 8-man All-Star game, and it's in Miami now. And
Yep.
they've got a very, very nice press box with lots of air conditioning and good food in the hospitality room. So I love making that drive to Miami and broadcasting that game. That is the most competitive All-Star game you're ever going to find. Those two teams, green versus gold, don't like each other. So
Nope.
Putting a bow on that Alva Fairview game, tune in Skordle.tv, Skordle app, Fairview Yellowjackets.tv. Watch that game for free on the Skordle Network. Let's go to Pick'em game number 4. Minko Bulldogs will kick off their 2025 season by traveling to Hinton to take on the Comets. Hinton came up just short in this matchup a season ago, falling 16-14 to the Bulldogs. Mark, who wins this game on Friday?
This will be a fun one, man. It's the first game for Josh Cooper, who left the staff at Cassidy. We all know Josh from his playing days and what a great player he was in the NFL as well as at Oklahoma State. This game was close last year. Minko lost in the first round of the playoffs to Hooker. So I think that I'm going to go with Minko, but I think it'll be close. And I can't wait to see what Josh does with his team.
Tom.
Well, Hinton's kind of a glutton for punishment. Not only do they play in a district with Cash and Fairview and Hooker, but they've got Minko and Thomas on the non-district schedule. They got a new coach, like Mark said. Getting to the 5 wins they had last year could be a bit of a challenge. The district coaches picked Minko to win District 2 and A1, probably because they returned 9 starters on offense and 8 on defense. And Brock Wardlaw, this blows me away because I called his games in high school, but just makes me feel old. Brock Wardlaw's been there now over a decade, 92-26 records. Took over the program back in 2015. And Minko has that tradition that Hinton is trying to build. It was a 2-point win for Minko last year. I don't think it'll be quite that close. I think Minko's going to win by a touchdown or so.
Doug Nelson.
Yeah, I played college football with a kid from Minko, Chris Norman, one of the toughest kids I've ever seen. They called him Hammerhead, and so I love the mentality there at Minko. Also, Hinton had some great memories at Hinton. They have a church camp there, Methodist church camp and Canyon camp. Just man, shout out to the church camp there. But yeah, Coach Cooper in his first year, he's got a kid named Diego Gonzalez. You got to love that name. and hopefully he's got great feet. He anchors the offense and defensive line. So I'm going to go with Minko in this one.
Chris.
Doug Mitch's church camp in Hinton. Well, I take Exit 101 for many different reasons. I've seen a lot of concerts on Exit 101, not for church camp. So, Doug, you win this one here. But Coach Wardlaw, I think he's going to get his 100th victory this year. He's, as Tom mentioned, he's 8 away from that. And big things with Hinton. I'm a big Josh Cooper fan when he was at Mustang, and then as Mark said after that. But Hinton's got a big school bond that everyone needs to get out there and vote on October 24th there. But I think Minko is a little bit better. I think I like Coach Wardlaw. Tough way for Coach Cooper to open up his career against a Wardlaw. But Minko leads the series by 3 games overall. They've won 5 of the last 6. I will make it 6 out of 7. I'm going with Minko.
Yeah. My kids went to Canyon Camp, but I prefer the Exit Krista. I like where Chris stops at. Not quite as far south.
Not quite as
Well,
far.
church camps sometimes are exciting as well. So
I went to church camp there in Hinton. Good time.
yes, sir.
We'll leave it at that, I guess, Mark, huh?
Well, I don't know. I think that the statute of limitations has gone by on this, but one of the great athletes from Blackwell, Paul Marsh, was not satisfied with the fact that they did not have any candy at the camp in Hinton and decided to try to walk from the canyon into town. It was a bad idea, and I think they launched him. He had to go home. So I've seen people get kicked out of church camp before, but it wasn't because they were trying to walk to the convenience store in town. It may have been bigger transgressions.
Fair enough. We'll get back on track here. Jacob Source, Minko at Hinton.
Another awesome first week 0 matchup. Going to be a close football game. Both of these teams love to run the football, and they both and I think both of them are going to be doing a lot of running from the quarterback position. Hinton's got Graydon Deviney. I hope I pronounced that right. He led the team in rushing last year. He's a dual threat. Minko has Jace Bratcher coming back, a linebacker. He's going to be key to containing Hinton's quarterback run game. And I think Minko, with their running back Valdez, the kid ate up a bunch of yards last year. He's poised for a big year. I got Minko a 8-point favorite, but I have them winning by 7. So I guess that's a push. But I got Minko 28-21.
Well, we love our Skordle Network schools. Both of these teams, Minko and Hinton, Skordle Network schools. So best of luck to Minko and Hinton this season. Watch this matchup, Skordle.tv, HintonComets.tv, MinkoBulldogs.tv. All right, let's go to Pick'em game number 5. We're going to get into some 8-man football here for Tom Nelson. The Dewar Dragons will start their campaign to repeat as state champs in Class B1 on the road at Yale. The Bulldogs had a great 2024 season, going undefeated until a 38-34 playoff loss to Garber. Tom Nelson, tell us about this matchup.
Well, if you spent an hour watching the preseason Pick'em show last week, you remember I called Yale my dark horse in B1. But this week, they host the team that I said was going to win B1 again. That's Dewar. Yale's going to find out how good they need to be in December if they want to win a gold ball, and Dewar is going to deliver a lesson. I think the Dragons win big.
Mark?
Well, these teams didn't play last year, so it's fantastic that Dewar has scheduled some games, and the teams want to face them because they've been dominant. And the Dewar ceiling game that's coming up a little bit later on this year. So Yale's loaded. I mean, Braden Hodgett, 32 touchdowns last year. Tanner Moore, he caught 31 passes. 16 of those were for touchdowns. And 29 touchdowns for Caden Teeter, their quarterback. So I think that this is I think this is going to be a little bit closer than that. Tom, you see this being like a halftime 50-pointer, or
I don't think so, but I think that Dewar wins comfortably. I don't know. It's not going to be 46-0 and done at halftime, but I think that 20, 25, 30 points, something like that, maybe by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, Dewar's got some people to replace, but they've got a bunch of good guys back. I mean, Peyton Kilhofer is just a junior stud athlete, the quarterback. He's really good. And so I do think that Dewar will win. But I hope it's a competitive game. I mean, I know this is big for Yale, who had a ton of success on the gridiron. They were 11-1 last year and got beat in the second round of the playoffs, and I think they were expecting to do better in the postseason than they did. So definitely will have an eye on this one.
Well, it could be Tom Nelson up on the bulletin board at Yale with some of those comments.
Oh,
It could be
been there, done that.
Chris Evans. Let's go to you. Dewar at Yale.
Well, I picked against Fairview. I didn't go to church camp in Hinton. I'm looking right at that Brahms logo, but if I'm going to Yale, I got the best chocolate shake at the Dairy Hut. It's not even close. That's one of my favorite places of all time is the Dairy Hut in Yale. I'm Dewar a year ago. Laverne jumps out to an early lead. Like, oh, I don't know if Dewar can do this or not, but they come back and win it and big 44-12. Mark mentioned Killhofer. Braylon Lewis, his dad, Ronell Lewis, was fun to watch when he was in eight-man football and then later on in college as well. Then you add in Joseph Moore. So eight-man football with a wide receiver, a quarterback, and a running back. I'll take Dewar as well with the victory.
Doug.
Yeah, those three guys you guys talked about, three-headed monster. This is a battle of orange and black. I believe both of these schools are orange and black, Mark. If I'm correct. I think Dewar had on their uniforms. They were ready to play when you talked to them just the other day. They were fired up, but Coach Baker, 20-5 the last 2 years. They've got a couple of gold balls, Tom, but it's in basketball under Keaton Page and the great Coach Page. How about this? If Jim Thorpe comes back from the dead, the ghost of Coach Jim Thorpe, maybe Yale can pull off this victory.
Fair enough. Jacob Esource, go to you.
This is one of those games where you have a decorated program coming up against an emerging contender. I love these type of early season games. This is a chance for Yale, right, to break out into the big time. They got a lot of talent. Mark went through some of the players. Braden Hodgett, got to mention him. Not only was he a stud running back last season, he was a return specialist and made a lot of noise in the return game, special teams. But Dewar's just too deep, too talented, coming off a state championship, dominating win over Hollis, 45-0 in the final. They're going to be riding high and just reloading this year. I got Dewar a 21.5-point favorite, and I think Dewar goes on the road, wins it 48-20.
This kind of reminds me of one of my first experiences when I with Dewar a few years ago. They were playing Cherokee up in Cherokee at Cherokee's turf field, and we went up and did it as the game of the week. And coming over from the east side, playing somebody from the Enid area, it was worth going up and doing. And boy, Dewar was just so much more physical than Cherokee was that night. I think it was over at halftime, and I was really surprised with how good Dewar was. And that's I wouldn't be surprised if that would happen again. Although I picked Yale as my dark horse, so I'm hoping they can be competitive and make it a good ball game because it should always be a good game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dewar does get on the bus a bit early.
Squirrel.tv, DewarDragons.tv for that matchup. And Tom, the good segue is we're getting ready to talk about the Cherokee Chiefs here. Another eight-man game is Class C runners-up from a year ago, Timberlake. They travel to Cherokee to take on the Chiefs. Timberlake 13-1 last season with its only loss coming in that state championship game to Tipton. Cherokee won 5 of its last 8 games a season ago and looks to get it a big win against a tough opponent on Friday night. Tom Nelson.
Well, the Alfalfa County War has been super competitive since the day Timberlake was formed back in 1993. Timberlake won that first matchup 14-8. Of course, they had some pretty good football at Helena Goltry and before that, but they lead the overall series 13-12. They went ahead in the series with a big win last year. 52-6 was the final score in that ball game. Now, Bryce Schombacher's Chiefs won a playoff game and at 6-6 had their first non-losing season since 2020 last year. Cherokee starts a sophomore quarterback. It's the coach's son, Dawson Schombacher. He's got a couple of senior tight ends to throw to and some other good skill players around him. They hope to tighten up a defense that gave up 24 points a game a year ago, but Timberlake has Maverick Judd, Pierce Kidd at quarterback. They're my pick to win Class C. They're coming to town, and I got to think that Timberlake has the horses to win their third straight in this series, so I'll pick the Tigers.
Let's go to Mark Rogers.
I have nothing to add when Tom breaks down the games that he's doing because he does such a good job. The only thing that I can add is that these two coaches have combined to be at these schools for 50 years, 31 for Severin and 19 for Schombacher. So they're veterans. They've been around the block a lot and part of the great culture of Northwest Oklahoma eight-man football. I'm going with the Tigers over the Chiefs.
Something I want to shout out real quick, and a lot of people know my health situation. Been dealing with cancer for the past 6 or 7 months, or however long it's been. And one of the first things I got back when I first got diagnosed, got back from the hospital, was a box of Cherokee Chiefs uh, stuff, hats, and camo hats. And I wear my camo hat when I go in for chemo every week. And Coach Schombacher and the crew, they all signed a card for me up there. And but I tell you what, there's some good people at both those schools, because I heard from Coach Severin this week asking me how I was doing. So I tell you what, with this matchup, you got a matchup at two great coaches and two great families, and a bunch of good kids up there too.
For sure, Tom. And Coach Severin's been through his own situation with his family as well, and thinking of you, thinking of Coach Severin's family, and glad you're with us, Tom, as always.
Yeah, me too.
Doug, let's go to you. Timberlake at Cherokee.
Yeah, thanks to Chris Evans. Last year, I got to call that state championship game, and it came down to the last play. That was such a huge moment for Tipton to three-peat, but also the whole Thatcher Strong part of the segment after the first quarter, emotional. The community and the way they rallied around him, and I know, Mark, you talked to Coach Severin the other day, and he said that things were going good with Thatcher, and so really blessed to hear that. I was also interested to hear, Mark, that you found out that Coach Severin was the mayor of Helena. That's double duty right there. Not only are one of the best coaches in the area, you're also the mayor. So growing up, I got to play against both Jet Nash and Helena Goldtree, so I've got memories from great battles back in the day, and there was athletes on all of those schools. But Cherokee's much improved. I do have a connection. I know Coach Kramer finished out his tenure there. I worked with him at Balco for 4 years, and Coach Kramer meant so much to me while I was coaching at Balco. But just really a cool community, all of them, and what a battle it'll be. But I am leaning towards Timberlake as the rest of the panel.
Chris.
I had my notes right here. Tom Nelson. I'll listen to everything you just said, and I will go with Timberlake. I'll listen to Jacob and see if Cherokee can keep it within the spread.
Jacob.
Both of these teams have a lot of seniors. Cherokee, had a big comeback season last year, and they're returning a lot of starters from that team that made a lot of noise last year. But the problem for them is Timberlake's got a bunch of studs coming back too. You got senior Peyton Pierce, quarterback, and then you had the two senior backs, Maverick Judd and Alex Brewer, who are not only studs on the offensive side of the ball, but are also studs on the defensive side, which is what I think is going to be the difference in this game. Is Timberlake's stout defense will make a difference. I see it being a pretty good football game. I got Timberlake a 20.5-point favorite, but I think Cherokee keeps it closer than that. But Timberlake comes out with a win, 38-20.
We mentioned Mario Lopez earlier. Cherokee does have an offensive lineman by the name of Antonio Banderas, so that's get your autographs early.
That advantage Cherokee there.
Two network schools for Skordle playing in this matchup. Love both of these schools, these coaches. Skordle.tv, TimberlakeTigers.tv, CherokeeChiefs.tv. Best of luck to those two teams throughout the season.
6 surgeons, 4 locations, 1 goal: to improve the health and lives of people in Oklahoma. At Oral and Maxillofacial Associates, we treat every patient like family. As the preferred dental implant and oral surgery specialist of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and with over 30 years of service to our community, we are trusted by professionals and dedicated to expert care. With 4 convenient locations around the metro area, we are here for you. Trust the experts at OMA. Visit our website, www.omaok.com.
All right, we're now at game number 7, which is our first Skordle game of the week. The Guthrie Blue Jays travel to Tuttle to take on the Tigers Thursday. It's a Thursday night kick, 7 p.m. This game features two teams who both fell just short of a state title a year ago, as Guthrie fell to Carl Albert and Tuttle lost to Elgin in the state championship game for their respective classes. Mark, you were on the call for this game. Give us a preview.
Wow, should be good, man. Both teams were really good in their scrimmages. Guthrie challenged themselves by taking on Bethany and Elgin. Tuttle challenged themselves by taking on Washington. And so great venue at Richardson Stadium in Tuttle. And last year, the game came down to the final play in Guthrie. And so Guthrie does a great job. I mean, and you've got an incredible matchup here with Kelly Beebe, who does an awesome job coaching defense and steams it up and gets his guys to play really hard. Going up against Cruz Campbell, who you look at the numbers last year, 40 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I mean, Jason White won a Heisman. He didn't win a state championship, but those numbers, that has to be the best season ever quarterback by anyone at Tuttle, which says a lot. And so he's got another one left. The Lane twins at wide receiver, Rounceville at running back. I think Tuttle is the team to beat this year in Class 4A. I think kind of decidedly the team to beat. Elgin's really good. They've got some reloading to do, but I think Tuttle's going to win the game. And I hope Chris doesn't play these clips on Guthrie News page over and over and over again.
Mark, who's on the call with you on Thursday?
I hope it's Adam. Yeah, good. I think it is Adam. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Mark and Adam on the call Thursday, 7 p.m. in Tuttle. Tom Nelson, let's go to you.
Well, Guthrie's taking a loaded squad into Tuttle. The Tigers definitely have something for them. That's going to be a great ball game. I'll be watching that one on Thursday night. It's a great season opening series. It's been played the last 3 seasons. Guthrie beat Tuttle 24-20 and 20-3 before last year. Tuttle goes into the Rock and wins, as Mark said, wins late 31-24. In a close series like this, I think that Cruz Campbell is going to put on a show, and I'm going to pull a Jake here. I'm going to take the 3 points for home field advantage, and I'm going to go with Tuttle.
All right, we're going to go to Chris Evans, one of the best in the business at production for Guthrie and their sports teams. So, Chris, shout out to you. Great job on all that you do for Guthrie sports. But let's go to you. Your Guthrie Blue Jays at Tuttle.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Yeah, this series has been fun. Guthrie won the first 2 in the meeting, and then Cruz Campbell with the game-winning throw to Brady McAdoo with 16 seconds left on the clock. And so, yeah, it was a classic game. Tuttle rushed for -1 yards against Guthrie's defense, Kelly Beebe, as Mark alluded to. So it came down to Cruz Campbell last year. It will come down to Cruz Campbell again this year if Tuttle wants to get the victory. Coach Ballard, over 100 victories. Coach Kelly Beebe got his 100th victory last year. So 2 great coaching matchups. Tuttle hasn't won a state championship since 2018. Guthrie hasn't won one since 2013, which seems like forever in both those communities. But much like Mark, I picked Tuttle to win the state championship. I feel confident with that. I saw Elgin. They have a nice move in, but I think Tuttle just has everything ready to go from them. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 14-0, and they might go 13-1 like they did last year, but with the state championship. And I got a whole bunch of people that I know here in town, so I will pick Guthrie in a squeaker.
Doug Nelson, let's go to you. Guthrie at Tuttle.
Yeah, I do know. I worked with Coach Ballard for 4 years, and Mark was late the other day to talk to him a little bit. And you don't want to be late for anything with Coach Ballard. That guy is a hard-nosed country bulldog tiger. He is serious as it comes. I called him. I was just going to talk to him. I didn't realize they were at practice on Sunday, and of course everything was scooted up because of the Thursday night game. And I mean, it wasn't, I don't know, 10 minutes. He calls me back, and I just love getting to talk to Brad. Of course, he wasn't going to give anything away other than he said Guthrie looks pretty much the same as they always do. Strong, athletic, high potent offense and strong defense. And so he was excited about his quarterback and Cruz. Talked about just the culture at Tuttle and the community and just how incredible it is to be a part of that now for 11 years. And listen, that guy likes to fish and hunt, and he's a tough country boy that gets it done. So, Chris, I'm sorry. Please don't let this affect my playoff possibilities this year, but I'm going to have to go with the Tigers.
It sounds like I'm going to save the graphics, so you guys are welcome.
Jacob Diesel, let's go to you.
You know, you guys mentioned how long it's been since both of these perennial powers have won a state championship game. Well, I think what makes it sting for both of them is that they both were the runners-up last season in their respective classes. Tuttle falling in the state championship game and Guthrie falling in the 5A championship game. And this, I love that these two teams have started to make this game a season in, season out thing. Cruz Campbell, you got the throwing the football over the field, but then you got Dalian Rice for Guthrie running the football over the field. It's going to be that contrast of styles. Will Tuttle's offensive firepower be enough against Guthrie's stout defense? That was the difference in last year's game and a tight one. Just so many impact players on both sides of the ball for both these teams. And what will be a week 0 classic. I got Tuttle an 8.5-point favorite at home, and I think Tuttle finds a way to win this football game 35-28.
Coach Ballard is so competitive. Our sideline guy was having technical difficulties with his ears, so he came closer to the press box side, which was the Tuttle side. Yeah, he got kicked off by Coach Ballard. So
I do have one more thing. Coach Ballard's dad, Benny Ballard, actually spoke at their preseason kickoff. And Coach Ballard, his dad is legendary, state championships at Hominy and just really a big time football coach as well. And so that's probably going to help a little bit. Brad said his dad was trying to be a comedian, but it wasn't working out real well with the comic adventure.
Well, I have a note here that this game will be on all the Skordle Network, Skordle.tv, and the Skordle app, as well as the Sports Animal platforms. Mark, you may be able to speak more to that, but that's my understanding. Is that correct?
Sometimes it's hard for us to get on the air, so the plan is for it to be on the Sports Animal app, but we can't promise anything. No, yeah, it will be there. It will be there.
Sounds good. Well, let's go to our second Skordle game of the week. Pond Creek Hunter looks to build off a 7-4 season a year ago. It opens the 2025 campaign with the Coyle Blue Jackets. Pond Creek will be honoring the 1985 state championship team during the game. Coach Welsh, Doug Nelson, Van Shea Ivan, some of those names that you might recognize. Tom, you're calling this game with Doug Nelson on Friday. Tell us what you're watching for in this matchup.
Well, I think this is going to be really cool to be there on this night because I wasn't around Oklahoma. I wasn't living in Enid back in 1985. I actually graduated from high school a few months before that in the class of '85, that previous spring up in Kansas. But so neat that they're going to do the 40th anniversary of that '85 state championship team. That's the first of the 4 gold balls that Pond Creek Hunters won in school history. Their last one in 2019. I had a chance today to watch a video of that '85 state championship game, and I got to get Doug's comments when we get a chance for him to talk about. Michael Jordan had his flu game, and Doug Nelson had his flu game in the state championship. I'm sure he'll talk about that. But this year's Panthers squad, they're pretty young. They include a sophomore and freshman on the 2 deep at quarterback. Laker Easley is a freshman who's going to be counted on at running back, and sophomore Kyson Davis is the leading returning receiver. Cooper Kelso is a senior who's going to be counted on both sides of the ball, running back and defensive tackle. To be successful Friday night, Pond Creek Hunter will have to contain Carson Hawk for Coyle. He ran for over 1,200 yards a year ago. Coach Cooper thinks that junior tight end Connor Mormon can develop into one of the best tight ends in the class. And he thinks the hard work his kids have put in over the offseason is going to pay off and lead to improvement from last year's 3-7 record. These two teams played a year ago. Pond Creek won at Coyle 32-8 to open the season. I don't like to make a pick on the game that I'm calling. I'm just not going to do it. I just don't need the heat, but it's going to be a fun one, and looking forward to being up there. And I understand Coach Bowman is going to be catering in Greasy Steve's into the press box. That's what he's trying to do. So it's all about the food, folks.
I was just getting ready to talk about Greasy Steve's. If you're going to the game, you got to go to Greasy Steve's before the game. Appetizer, fried pickles. Then you have to order a chicken fried steak, or catfish tacos. Dessert is whatever Mel is serving that night. Stop at Greasy Steve's before this Pond Creek Coyle game. You won't go to the game hungry. That is for sure. Mark Rogers, let's go to you.
Tom, you can fade the heat by picking these games if you get them right. So nobody can be mad at you when you're right. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. So that'll be fantastic. I like Pond Creek Hunter in the game. I do want to get Jake's opinion. I've never been to Greasy Steve's, but I want to know who has the advantage between the Peppermint Pad and the Dairy Hut that Chris mentioned earlier in Yale. The Dairy Hut's got a $7 milkshake, and I don't know. Maybe we can get some political commentary from Jake too. But man, inflation is killing the milkshake because you shouldn't have to pay $7 to get a milkshake anywhere. That's just too much. But I love milkshakes. But $7, man, That's expensive.
All right, Chris
I'm
Evans.
speechless. I mean, that's
I get nothing. I don't get an peppermint pad or
Who are you picking to win the game?
Palm Creek.
Dairy
Oh.
Hut. Oh,
Yeah.
Chris, let's go to
Peppermint. Hey,
well, I know it's Pond Creek Hunters 40th
and
championship.
Greasy Steve. Yeah,
Because-
Greasy Steve was a freshman, I think, when I was a senior, and Greasy Steve, that's a good name for him. It fits him really well. It's a cool night because of the 40 years, guys. I'm 57 years old. I cannot believe it's been 40 years. I watched that game just because I was Googling, trying to get some information on Pond Creek's facilities and what they paid for the track and the new turf. And that game pops up, and ironically, it's Cave Springs perspective or fan that put it on there. And so I actually went back and watched it. It's probably been 30 years since I've seen any VHS or 8mm or whatever we had back in the day. And it seems like it felt like it was yesterday, to be honest with you. And they're doing a great job. I talked to Coach Bauman today, and he's doing they're doing a dinner for us like at 5 o'clock, and going to have some special recognition and different things. But it was really that group of guys, tough country kids, strong. And of course, Van Ivan was one of the toughest competitors you will ever find in all sports, and athletic, just really, really a great leader. And so I was just honored to be a part of that. But I know I'm probably not supposed to make a pick, Tom, with me helping with the call, but I thought I'd break this out. Can you guys see that? Let's see.
There we go.
There we go.
There you go. So there you go, boys.
Hey, but talk about the flu game. Talk about the flu game.
Well, the flu game was we played Welch in the semifinals on the Saturday before the state championship. We played at Ator Field in Owasso, and Owasso had played a couple playoff games there, and so the field was just trashed, and it was one of those rainy, cold November days. Well, I ended up, believe it or not, I kicked a field goal in overtime to win the game. I'm the tallest kicker probably in 8-man history, 240 pounds, 6'5". You just don't see that in 8-man football, but actually missed the first one to win it. And then we went to overtime and kicked, I think it was a 27-yarder. Stacy Satterwhite played for Welch. You guys remember him? He played at OSU. So him and I battled all day long, and he just beat the dog out of me. But I got sick, Tom, and I missed the whole week of school. The principal, Mr. Moore, at the time, called my parents on Friday morning and said, if he's going to play Saturday, at least half a day on Friday. So they drove me up there, and I actually went to school. They made me ride in the back of the bus Saturday morning, driving from Pond Creek to Glenpool, and got out, played the game. And the very first, we scored, and Van Shea throws a little tight end dump to me across the middle, and he throws it high. And one of their top kids puts his helmet right in my stomach. And I mean, I thought I was going to die right there in the south end zone of Glenpool. But anyways, we ended up winning the game. It was back and forth, and it was had a chance to stop them on their last drive and got to make a couple big tackles. And that's about all I did the whole game, other than just kind of lumber around, make a few blocks. But Robert Barwick, I believe, carried the ball 45 to 46 times. I think we threw the ball 2 times the whole game and ended up winning the thing. I'd say the one in the end zone, and then we tried a little tight end dump to me down the sideline, and it was interception. And he told me if I was a better tight end, I would have broke up the pass there so they wouldn't intercept it. But I got to do a better job, I guess.
Well, you're being modest, because I watched the video. Those 2 tackles you made on that last Cave Springs drive to blow that drive up, and that was impressive. So
well,
I'm looking forward to Friday night.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and it'll be fun to reminisce and talk about it. But I'm just honored to be there. So Adam, Jake, thank you guys so much for making that the game of the week there, at least one of the games of the week, and just a special night for all of us. And Tyler Kerr, I got to give him a shout out, because when we were calling the All-State game, he goes, we ought to make that one of our games of the week. And I said, well, that'd be great, And then the next thing you know, Adam was calling. So it's going to be fun and a special night for Pond Creek and just the guys that were a part of that. I think three of the guys that have passed on, which tells you you're getting older. We probably had 30 guys on the team tops, but it was a big, strong team. And we got beat the year before by White Oak in the semifinals at Jinx on their stadium, their nice stadium. And that was big time for 8-man football. That was back when they chalked the sideline, and bring it in, and it looked a little different on an 11-man field.
Yeah,
Tyler producing that game on Friday for Skordle.
Yeah, Tyler brought that up at the All-State game, and I said, okay, 20-minute drive and a nice air-conditioned press box in August, I'm in, although it's going to be 75 and beautiful on Friday night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're going to have a new sponsor next week,
box.
Jacob the Jeweler for Vegas Kerr's earrings. So
this will be, I got to say, there are going to be three Nelsons on the broadcast, myself and Doug and my son Joshua running cameras. So lots of Nelsons in the house on Friday night. So.
Well, Doug, enjoy your time on Friday. Looking forward to you and Tom and the rest of the PCH grads on the call on Friday evening. Chris Evans.
I got to give a shout out to Coach Welsh. That's where it all started. He had over 100 wins there at Pond Creek, and then left there and went to Fairview, and that whole community was just heartbroken when he went to Fairview. And again, he gave me my first job right out of college, so I'm forever grateful to Coach Welsh and Fairview.
One of the best to ever do it. Chris?
Would this be a bad time to pick the team from Logan County? The Blue Jackets.
I think Coyle's got a shot in this game just because I think they got a little more experience. They got that good running back too. I think this could be a good ball game. A couple of up and coming teams.
They do. I'm rooting for Coyle. Coach Cooper in his 6th year there. And they passed the school bond recently to upgrade some of their schools. So hopefully good things are coming. When they built State Highway 33 to Perkins, which is a great project, by the way, especially for OSU traffic, it took away the Coyle. So if you're going to Coyle, you're meaning to go to Coyle, where it used to have a lot of people drive through Coyle on their way to Stillwater. But that's one of the things that hurt Coyle, I think, is that the new State Highway 33. They call it New Highway 33 and Old Highway 33. Doesn't matter what highway it is. Pond Creek Hunter, Doug Nelson, all of them will have a great night of celebration with a victory for Pond Creek.
Jacob, finish this up.
Yeah, Pond Creek started the season last year with a big win over Coyle in week 0 in the site 32-8. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deficit this year. I think Coyle's got a lot of talent coming back. I think they're a team on the rise. But Doug mentioned that you guys ran the ball 40 times and threw it twice. That's classic Coach Welsh football right there, if I've ever heard of it. Run that football, and Pond Creek's got the standouts, to carry them a long way. Stud running back, stud quarterbacks, Brody Brown, Blaine Teft, I think is another one of the kids. And then you had Cole Chavez, Kyson Davis on the outside. Coyle's got the Carson Hawk kid, I think is what we mentioned earlier, the running back coming back, who's a powerful big back who runs over people. I see Pond Creek Hunter as a 20-point favorite, and I think that the history that's going along with this special night will help carry Pond Creek to a big win, 42-21.
All right, so those 8 games we just discussed, you can watch for free on the Skordle platforms or any of the specific school platforms. We're now going to discuss 4 of the best non-Skordle Network schools in the state of Oklahoma this week. So you cannot watch these games on the Skordle Network, but they should be great matchups. Let's start with probably the biggest matchup in the state this week, Mark Rogers, Owasso at Bixby. And this game will be played, I believe, on Thursday evening.
Yeah, on Thursday. Great game. Could go either way. I think these are the top 2 teams in Class 6A Division 1. I'm going to go with Bixby.
Tom.
Yeah, I picked Bixby to beat Owasso for the 6A1 title last week, and they're going to be playing on the big stage at Chapman Stadium at Tulsa, University of Tulsa. Getting there 15,000, 20,000 people there. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, but I think Bixby they get this one, and I think they'll get the one in December too. Whoever they have to beat in December. I think Bixby will win the state championship. They're going to get started on Thursday night.
Chris.
Yeah, Owasso was a story last year. I think they were probably the best team up the entire season, 6A football, to the final play when Bixby won that state championship for the 7th year in a row and 10th of the last 11 state championships for Bixby. Coach Lauren Montgomery doing a great job. Going to be a great coaching matchup on the sideline. Coach Bill Blankenship is back with the Owasso Rams, 2 state championships for the Rams, 6 in his trophy case. But it'll be interesting because Owasso had a 3-headed running monster last year. One of those, Jason Mull, is now in a Bixby uniforms. That'll be interesting to watch. And so that will be interesting. But I will go with Bixby winning this one over Owasso.
Doug.
Yeah, what Coach Montgomery's doing at Bixby is historically impressive. It's just amazing. Chris mentioned it, 7 in Division II, 6A2, and then 3 in a row now in 6A1. It is big boy football. And I talked about it's an arms race. The kids that are coming in, the facilities that are being built. It's just a whole nother level. I keep throwing out names, which makes me feel old, but I'm also blessed to work for Bill Blankenship for several years as well. That guy's as good as they come. Christian man, means business, is a great leader, and he'll give you his last dollar or the shirt off his back, but he's a guy that can inspire kids to do great things. He won it in 17 and 19 at Owasso. But until somebody knocks off Bixby off top of the mountain, I got to roll with them.
Jacob.
This game is now especially has a nickname. It's the Battle of Burbs. That's what they're calling it now, and it will not disappoint. Bixby's won 10 state titles in 11 seasons. Think about that, playing at the highest level, and they return a lot of elite talent. And D1 all over the field. The Presley kids back, the Kirby kids back. McGaughlin, Cord Nolan, the Texas Tech commit, Emery Snyder, the West Virginia commit. But don't sleep on Owasso. They got Frankenfield back at quarterback. They have Bill Blankenship on the headset. That's got to mean something. 2 studs on the defensive side of the ball, Taj Overton and Carter Langenfelder, the OSU commit. So I think these are the 2 best teams in 6A1. This is a preview of what will likely be a rematch in the state championship game. I love that they're playing on a neutral site. Bixby's continuity and their elite talent is just going to be too much. This week, remains to be seen who wins the state championship game. But this week, I got Bixby a touchdown favorite, and I think they squeak out a high-scoring win, 38-35.
And Josh Blankenship calling plays for his dad.
It's just so impressive. I just have been so impressed with Bixby. I mean, you're impressed with what they did when they were 6A2 winning all those state championships. But to step up in 6A1 and just keep it rolling along when all of a sudden it's the Owasso, the Jinx, the Union, all those teams that, Jinx and Union dominated 6A for so many years. For Bixby just to come in and continue that role, that's one of the most impressive things. I mean, you can talk about, Washington's winning streak in the smaller classes and other winning streaks and state championship streaks. But boy, I tell you what, Bixby getting it done at the highest level year after year is just probably the most impressive storyline in Oklahoma.
All right, 3 more games to pick. Let's go Muskogee and Booker T. This game will be played on Friday. Mark, start us off.
I like Muskogee. I think should be a good game. And Dale Condit going from Wagner, where he's won, to Muskogee, new chapter, bigger challenge to keep things going from where Travis Hill had it. So I think Muskogee's in good shape. Booker T's got more kids out and a new coach there. I still think that they're a top 3 or 4 team in Class 5A, but I think the Roughers get the win over the Hornets.
Yeah, you got a couple of teams with coaches coaching their first games at their new schools. Nate Goodman is a Hornet alum, takes over at Booker T, went 9-3 a year ago, made it to the quarterfinals in 5A. And of course, as Mark said, Muskogee has Coach Condit. He comes in from Wagner. Booker T's got a lot coming back, but it looks like Muskogee used the transfer portal to their advantage. And I'll take the Roughers in this one.
Let's go to Doug Nelson.
Yeah, Booker T's got a young man, Dwayne Jones. How about this? He's got 19 D1 offers. He'll anchor the defensive side of the ball. He may be the best defensive lineman in the state. Booker T also has tons of playmakers year in and year out. So they're always fun to watch. But Dale Condit, with his history he's getting it done. 6 state championships at Wagner, I believe, was the number. It is at Booker T, but I'm going to go with the Roughers on this one.
Chris.
Yeah, I got to see Booker T last year up in Tulsa. A big hit to them. Joseph Graves goes from Booker T to IMG Academy over the summer. And they were two big bodies. They stood out so much on that defensive front for the Hornets last year. But as Mark said, Booker T is still a top five team in the 5A rankings when you look at that. Yeah, Coach Condit moving to Muskogee, Tom. I think five players from Wagner follow Coach Condit to Muskogee, on top of a couple others. Muskogee got to replace the quarterback, Jamar Ficklin. Bird, he was 33-5 at Muskogee. Travis Hill's gone, but Coach Condit is one of the best to ever do it in high school football. Cason Delgado, Union to Santa Fe. Now he's at Muskogee. Booker T leads the overall series, but Muskogee has the upper edge. I will go with the Ruffers and Coach Dale Gunnett to win it in his first game as a Ruffer. Great facilities there too, by the way.
Jacob.
I love these kind of first round, week zero matchups like this. And there's going to be a lot of talent on the field between these two teams. Muskogee has probably maybe the best pair of linebackers in 6A too, with Barnowski and the Harkin kid both coming back. And then with the Delgado kid coming in to play quarterback, Arthur McNack, I think, was another dual role player who can influence both sides of the ball. Muskogee is going to be one of the teams to beat. Booker T, like you mentioned, Dwayne Jones, probably the best defensive line recruit in the state of Oklahoma this season, has his pick of D1 schools. Levi Brooks, Booker T's quarterback, is a senior this year, 6'3", field general. He's got size. Like, we had the offense clicking late in the season, and they're going to need it in this game. They're hosting Muskogee. I got Muskogee a touchdown favorite on the road going into into Booker T, Washington. And I think Muskogee's going to come out with a tight win if Muskogee's defense can clamp down. I see this Muskogee 24-21. But if Brooks finds his rhythm and the Hornets' identity shapes early, they could pull the upset. But I got Muskogee 24-21.
Last two games to pick here. Cushing at Berry Hill on Friday. Mark.
This is a good series. These teams, this is the 12th straight time that they've played, and Cushing's non-district schedule is just the same every year. They got Perkins, Bristow, and Berry Hill. Berry Hill's got a couple of really big kids that are being recruited up front on their line, Harrison Vaughn and Aiden Martin. I think before the show tonight, I was probably leaning Cushing. Cushing's won 5 in a row, but I'm going to go with Berry Hill. I think Berry Hill is going to be a pretty good team this year. And again, Lincoln Christian is a prohibitive favorite in Class 3A, but Berry Hill, Cassia Hall, there's some other good teams in that class that I think will have some good games leading up to potentially challenging the Bulldogs in the championship. But I'm going to go slight nod to Berry Hill.
Tom.
One thing about this 0 week, how long we do it? About a decade now. I've been doing this 0 week thing, and it's just really
2014.
Okay, so a little over a decade. It's really opened up the schedule. We're seeing some great early season matchups that I don't know if we really saw some of these before. But getting that extra week in the schedule gives you a chance to wiggle around and get better matchups. And boy, we're seeing some great ones here to open up the season. Cushing. They won last year in this game. It was kind of a rock fight. 18-7 was the final. I see a similar kind of an outcome score-wise. The Tigers have the dynamic duo of Roman Tucker and Kellen Fry. They set the tone on both sides of the ball. Berry Hill's got a lot coming back, including an experienced offensive line, and Mark mentioned Aiden Martin. He's going to OSU. They're breaking in a new starting quarterback. He played a little bit a year ago, and I think that's going to be the difference. Berry Hill was my team to watch in 3A, but I think Cushing will get it done in this one. It's going to be a good ball game. It'll be low scoring. It's going to be a rock fight.
Doug.
I'm impressed with the Fry kid. 606 yards rushing, but he also had 154 tackles and 10 sacks last year. Berry Hill's a unique environment to play in. It's a kind of a small town environment, but they've got a left a little bit. That ball's stuck up there. So it's one of those small town atmospheres that's really cool to be a part of. We've had some great battles with Berry Hill over the years. Mark mentioned 3A. Berry Hill and Cassia Hall will match up at some point, and that'll be a big one. But I am going to pull for the Berry Hill Chiefs.
Chris.
Yeah, really impressed with head coach Rusty Morgan over at Cushing. You look at Class 4A football, perhaps one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive class in all the classes that we have. The last 7 state championships in 4A have all been from 7 different teams. Cushing hasn't been able to do that, but to be competitive in 4A like Cushing has, Coach Morgan's done a great job with that program over in Payne County. You guys mentioned Roman Tucker and Kellen Fry. Agree with everything there. And I will go with the Cushing Tigers.
Jacob.
This is another great game. I got it as a pick 'em. Cushing, I give them a little bit of edge with we have a senior quarterback, Cole Cooper, also running back, and Tucker, the quarterback. He's also a really good safety back there. Kind of runs the offense and the defense for Cushing. He's a player to watch. Barry Hill, obviously the Aiden Martin kid, 6'5", 275, Oklahoma State commit. Braden Schwickerwith, the linebacker's back, one of the best names at Oklahoma. And I think I said it wrong, which is despicable considering my last name. They also got Harry Vaughn, another beast up front on the defensive line. What's going to be the difference in this game? I don't know. It's going to be a physical, low-scoring game, like you guys said. I think Cushing's going to lean on their senior depth and quarterback command late in the game. And I think Cushing's going to come out with a 27-20 win between two teams that are going to be playing deep into December.
All right, guys, our final matchup to discuss tonight, North Rock Creek at Marlow on Friday. Mark.
Had a good talk with my high school coach, Gary Higgins, earlier last week. And North Rock Creek beat Marlow last year. Caleb Hawkins told me that is really in the mix to have some significant playing time as a freshman at North Texas. And so that's a big loss for North Rock Creek. But that's a program that's just getting better and better and better in all sports. And so this is another one of these games I think that probably the Diesel Horse line will be close to a pick 'em on it. But I'm going to look for Marlow to turn the tables this year in what should be a really good game.
Tom.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest surprises of 0 week a year ago. North Rock Creek beating Marlow 17-7. The Outlaws would go on to go 10-2 after that and make it to the state semifinals. The Cougars got into a bunch of shootouts, gave up a lot of points, and that was their best defensive effort of the season. And it was a distant memory by November when they missed the playoffs. And North Rock Creek has some holes to fill. Marlow, they're in reload mode. They're a good program. They're not going to lose much. They're a team to beat in that class. But the Outlaws remember last year, and they're not going to look past the Cougars this time. I think Marlow wins, and I think it'll be by at least a touchdown or so.
Chris.
Boy, Tom and I are seeing eye to eye a lot here tonight. Totally agree with everything you said there, Tom. Yeah, Coach Weber, by the way, the last time a team besides the name Washington win a state championship was Marlow, and that was a great game last year between Marlow and Washington, 35-28. But that North Rock Creek game, that was totally surprising. Coach Matt Weber does have that in his memory. I think he will bring out Hudson Morgan on defense and offense, and I think Marlow gets a victory over North Rock Creek, who continues to get better and better, as Mark said, in all their sports. Saw them in the state basketball tournament, maybe for the first time, I think, this past year, Mark.
Yeah,
I think.
That's right. Baseball too.
Baseball too. Okay, yeah. So they got it rocking. Used to be a K-8 school, and it took them 5 years to get state tournament. So, but I will take Marlow in a good one over North Rock Creek.
Doug.
Yeah, North Rock Creek's got one of the coolest names in Oklahoma, NRC. I remember when they first started playing up with the 9th and 10th graders. We played them in baseball a couple years, but like you said, this is their 4th year for really big time football with a full schedule. It's a great environment right outside of Shawnee, hop, skip, and a jump, and you're right there, and their facilities are really impressive. Been to a track meet and a basketball game there, and I think it's a 200-mile round trip for them down to Marlow. I don't know. Does that sound right, guys? That may play. That's a factor early in the year. Kids aren't used to getting on the bus like that. Of course, nowadays, when I played, it was a yellow dog and it was hot and the windows were down. But now they're, air conditioned and they've got their chargers above them in these nice buses. And so they're on their phones and they're good to go. But I'm going to take the Outlaws to tame the Cougars on this one.
Our final pick tonight, Jacob Deshorst.
Awesome. Another great week 0 matchup. North Rock Creek is a program on the rise. They caught Marlowe and maybe woke up Marlowe last season with that week 0 upset. I don't see that repeating. I do see a great football game. Marlowe, Boomer Brooks is back. He's such a difference maker. I think they have a freshman who's going to step into the quarterback role, so I think that's going to be a big have a big impact on this game. How is Brendan Weber going to handle the heat? Because Rock Creek has some studs coming back. Caleb Hawkins is a stud running back, and Memphis Burdine. Well, how about a great name that is. He's an emerging talent, one of the best athletes. I think we'll be mentioning his name late in the season. But I got Marlowe at home. I got him an 8.5-point favorite, and I think that they're going to get some revenge. But it was going to be a great football game. But I got Marlowe winning it 35-27.
I got to throw this in before we get out of here. I think weather is going to be a factor this weekend, and it's going to be the lack of the weather. I mean, it's not going to be 90 degrees, 95 degrees, and having to stop every twice a quarter for a water break. It's going to be 75 degrees. It's going to be like October weather. We got these great matchups. It's going to be great night. No rain right now for Friday night, at least from what I'm seeing. That's the one I was looking at up in Pond Creek. But boy, I tell you what, if it's a 75-degree night on 0 week, we're going to see some great football this weekend. I can't wait.
I got to say one thing too, Mark. That hurt me on the Dairy Hut deal. No one gets a large though. Only Mark Rogers gets a large $7. You got to go with the medium for less than $5.
Well, yes, I always get the large when it comes to the shake, but yes. If it's $7, if they can ask $7 and get $7 for it, I got to try it. So next time I'm through Yale going on east on 51, I'm in there.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Skordle Paydirt Pick'em Show. Be sure to tune into Skordle.tv so you can watch the network games we just discussed. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors and our special guests tonight, Doug Nelson, Chris Evans. Really appreciate having you guys on. Look forward to having you on again soon. Oklahoma, enjoy the great temperatures and all the football this week. We'll see you again next week.